All right, Nick, let's talk about the South Carolina Gamecocks. This is a team who's been killing it in the recruiting game lately, but we have a different style of news today. There's a big time transfer that has happened and landed on the roster of South Carolina. This will be some immediate impact for the 2023 season. I think it's going to be really big for South Carolina going forward.
Yeah, this is one of those under the radar moves that I think you'll agree with this much, will have a huge impact for the Gamecocks. Big move, great job by Coach Beamer and company to get this done. But that leads me into my question today for you Gamecocks fans to answer, as always, in the comment section below. Who is your favorite transfer in program history? There's a lot of very recent guys, some older guys potentially as well. Whoever it is, make sure you give us your favorite South Carolina Gamecock transfer in the comment section below. All right, Miles, what you got? What's the latest news out of Columbia?
Yeah, Nick, we all know that the South Carolina offense is looking very lethal this season, especially with the addition of that five-star Nick Harborough. We did a story on him just a few days ago, just how great he has looked so far. But the defense has now gotten some help in the way of a grad transfer. We're talking about former UAB defensive end Drew Tuazama. I think this is a huge ad. I'll read the article and then we will talk about it more in depth. This is from over on ESPN.com. Says South Carolina was able to add an all-conference player to its defense just 2 weeks before the start of the college football season. Former UAB defensive end Drew Tuazama, who is a preseason All-AAC pick before entering the transfer portal, has been officially added to the Gamecocks roster. A graduate, he's immediately eligible. The 6'5", 275-pound senior began his career at Syracuse. Tuazama played in all 13 games at UAB last season and led the team with 5 sacks. He's also posted 33 tackles and 3 quarterback hits. Nick, I think this guy is some much needed help for the South Carolina defense, who really lacked some pass rush last year. The whole team as a whole only got 20 sacks last season, with leading man being Tonka Hemingway getting 4 sacks. So not only did Tuazama lead UAB last year, he would have led South Carolina in sacks last year as well. So this guy can help pick up the pass rush and be just a big defensive end, 6'5", 275 pounds. This guy is going to be a space taker upper on the edge. He is going to be able to really wreck some offensive lines. I think this is a big move for South Carolina going forward. But what do you think about Tuazama, and what do you think this means for the team going forward?
Well, it's kind of interesting, right? Because like the report kind of alluded to, the regular season's just a few days away. Basically, at this point, fall camp is pretty much done for a lot of these programs. They're in the final days of it. Most of the roster in terms of the 2 deep is pretty much set in stone at this point. There's a few position battles still going on. Obviously, you're looking to see some young guys continue to get better and better. But a transfer move this late in terms of getting closer to the regular season is very rare. But that being said, this is the guy that can do it. This is a guy who's transferred before University of Alabama, Birmingham. He was at Syracuse. He played 3 years there, transferred to UAB. UAB went through a coaching change. He now wants to go to South Carolina. This kid is from, I say he's kid, he's basically 23 years old. He's a grown man now, I should say, but he's from Raleigh. So again, it's not quite coming home, but it's, a few hours away. So it kind of makes sense from that perspective. But he's a grown up essentially at this point in terms of adjusting and changing game plans and strategies. He's gone through multiple coaching changes. He's gone through a whole move before. He could do it again, no problem. And I think it just makes sense, right? This isn't some, freshman who had some 19-year-old guy who had gone to one school, it didn't work out, and he transferred late in the deal. This guy is a grown up, right? He's 22, 23 years old. He's gone through 2 different programs at this point. This will be his 3rd one. He knows the deal. And look, to be totally honest, to be a pass rusher, defensive end, kind of playmaker off the edge, if there's one position you don't need a lot of game planning to work through training camp to learn an offense or a defense, that's probably it, because a lot of it is just understanding where you need to line up and what your gap responsibility is. And this is a guy who's going to be predominantly used in pass rush situations where your responsibility is basically outside contain and then get the quarterback. That doesn't take a lot of practicing and game planning and going through a whole fall camp to learn that. I think from that perspective, Tuazama should be set up to have a very quick impact. Maybe give him a few weeks. Maybe the first game or 2 he's still just kind of getting up to speed. But don't be surprised back into the deep of the SEC schedule as we work towards the second half of the season if this guy is making big plays for Carolina's defense.
Yeah, Nick, can you speak about coming home? Not this weekend, but next weekend, South Carolina kicks off his first game of the season. It will be in Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium versus the UNC Tar Heels. So this guy will feel right at home, already going to be back in North Carolina for the first game of the season. And I think he can, put in some good work harassing Drake May and that UNC Tar Heels offensive line. So I think this will be really interesting. Just ironic that you said this guy is from North Carolina, and for first game of the season coming back, they're gonna be in North Carolina, so maybe there'll be a family presence at that game. Get him a little bit more amped up. But I think this guy's really exciting, and I really like what this South Carolina team has done in terms of building the roster coming into this season.
Yeah, just one more final point. I think this is actually one other viewpoint I'm going to take on this. I think Beamer and the entire coaching staff right now thinks they actually have a real chance to contend. Because if you were still in kind of rebuilding mode, you wouldn't want to shake up your roster. You'd be worried about maybe just developing some young guys. They must really think that, hey, we get one more pass rusher, we could be a big time contender in the SEC East, right? You don't make this move. You don't bring this guy in because it's only going to be for 1 year, one season. You don't bring this guy into the fold unless you think he's going to be a big time playmaker and you need him to push you over the top. I think this could be a sign that Coach Beamer looks at his roster through training camp, through fall practice at this point, and is like, hey, we're a lot better than even we think. We could be a serious contender in the SEC East. So from that perspective, I really think Carolina fans should be excited as well.